to combat ICE, including baking cookies and not letting them be future law enforcement, all sorts of different ways. We're going to discuss whether that is legal or not. Also, we're going to talk about San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan, who jumped into the race because we don't have enough Democrats running for governor right now. So he decided he's going to jump in as well. All that and more on tonight's episode of the California Underground, starting right now. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning into another episode of the California Underground. We got a ton to talk about, especially with all this stuff going on with ICE. A new gubernatorial candidate, a new fighter or player has entered the arena. Before we have to hop into everything, we got a lot to cover tonight. Started a little late. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Thank you, everyone, for showing up and tuning in live wherever you are from California or wherever you're watching, maybe across the country. Let us know where you are. I'll be observing the chat. But first, let me bring in my trusty co-host, the best, the fastest researcher in the West, Camille. What's going on, Camille? We got through the technical difficulties. We're here. We're live. Everyone's hanging out. This is very exciting.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. If you're a first-time listener, let us know. And thank you for anyone who's coming back for the second, third, or 50th time.
Absolutely. The regulars that we love to see.
Yeah.
All right. We did start a little late, so I do want to get started right away with our stories. We were talking about before, we could have covered all the heavy stuff and the protests and stuff like that, but there's a video coming out tomorrow on the channel discussing more of the heavy stuff about the ICE protests and all that. And we thought it'd be fun to kind of discuss these creative ways that California is trying to combat ICE. And some of them are legal, some of them are, kind of interesting, baking cookies and stuff like that. And we're going to break them down. We're also going to be talking about school walkouts. Do you want your kid to be told to walk out and protest? Let us know in the chat your thoughts about teachers making that decision for your child, whether you want them deciding what they should go out and protest. Let's hop into that first story right now about some ICE cookies.
Morning. Sunday. Today is our last day of the big ICE push. We are filling trays. We have as much as we can have today. Reminder that we are closed tomorrow and Tuesday. Say hi, guys. I don't know why people want to hang out here. It's a cool place. We got some gluten-free today. We have some cookie cakes. Ice cream is up and running. Luca's slinging cookies. Michelle's slinging cookies. All right. Come in and see us. I don't know what we'll have today, but we won't see you tomorrow. We won't see you Tuesday. That's what this is to tell you. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Thanks for following us. Yeah, it's going to be crazy. The early bird gets the fuck ice cookies, and all these folks are our favorite early birds. So no to tomorrow, no to Tuesday. We will have some on Wednesday, not nearly the same quantity, mostly because I need to sleep. I have not slept since Wednesday because we have been trying to crank out as much of these cookies as possible in support. Remember that all the money from the sales goes to the Women's Foundation of Minnesota for their Rapid Immigrant Response Fund. So every dollar is worth it, which is why we have been sacrificing sleep for it. But I'm starting to think my kids think they're orphans, so I've got to go back to normal functionality. So the production will slow down greatly, but we will still have them. So pop in if you're lucky, Hi guys, thanks everyone for joining us. Oh,
all right. I think we get the point. So this bakery in Altadena baked cookies with F ice over it. They sold out within 12 minutes. I will say this: I'm going to give her credit. At least she's putting her money where her mouth is, and she's donating it to an actual cause um, that she believes in, which you're free to do. It's the United States of America. You can do that and bake and give away your profits. That's the beauty of the free market and business is you can take your profits and send them off to any charity you want. Um, but it is just a sign of Los Angeles and their attitude towards ice. I don't know if this is going to combat ice. I don't know if this. I mean, people don't like ice in Los Angeles. Uh, she's better than the people like Billie Eilish who virtue signal at the Grammys about being on stolen land and stuff like that. At least she's doing like she's working hard and she's giving her money away to charity as opposed to Billie Eilish who's talking about stolen land and then not giving the land back that she actually has her $7 million mansion on. So, what were your thoughts when you watched this baker baking her F ice cookies?
I had very similar thoughts. It's a free country, and she believes in this cause. Actually, I did check out that nonprofit, and I didn't find anything. I didn't thoroughly check about, but I didn't find anything shady because they barely bring in an income, and so it's going to be really hard for them to pay themselves, huge salaries as a nonprofit when they barely brought in any money. And I don't actually know what they're doing in Minnesota, but again, she believes in this cause and she found a way that she could support it. And again, I give her credit for that because when people really do stand behind their passions, um, she's not doing something dangerous. She's not out there. Well, I don't know. Maybe when she's not at the cookie shop, she's maybe doing nefarious stuff. But like as far as this video is concerned, what she's doing is she seems to own a bakery and she's like, hey, I can actually send a message and send some money. And good for her. Whether or not you agree with her cause, good for her for standing behind it and doing something about it.
Hmm.
I do think it's silly. I am not offended by the F word, but at the same time, I just kind of when I see people do stuff like that, I do roll my eyes because I just think like, it's just immature. Is my opinion
Hmm.
when you like make those statements behind closed doors with your friends and stuff, and that's fine. But then I feel like literally putting on this cookie and then advertising it and probably going viral over it just is like, I don't know. It's not classy to me. And not that everything has to be classy, but it's not classy to me. I just kind of go, whatever. But again, free nation. And that is one of the beauties of our free nation is she gets to do that. So,
I would
and,
be
but
interested, real quick. I'd be interested to get her opinion if somebody was a baker and they baked cookies that said like FBLM. Like, what would her response to that? Would she be like, I don't know, and all the proceeds went to like some nonprofit that benefited like police and law enforcement or something like that. I wonder what her response would be then if she would be as tolerant if somebody baked FBLM cookies. Because it always seems to go one way. Oh, it's we're fighting against the machine. We're so rebellious. We're baking these cookies, and we're so radical and stuff like that. And then if you did it on the other side, they'd probably like want to burn down your bakery and destroy you and dox you and
true.
cancel you and stuff like that. So, it's just I would imagine I'm not putting words in this lady's mouth. Maybe she'd be fine with it, but I have a good suspicion that if that were the case, she'd be one of the first people throwing rocks in this person's bakery and saying this is unacceptable, this is racist, this is fascism, blah blah blah, like the whole commentary about it. So yeah, sorry, I jumped in there. You had another thought.
Oh, I was just gonna say I've actually been craving cookies all day, probably because that video. Although I don't like icing, and those cookies look disgusting to me, and that has nothing to do with the message on them. I don't want any cookies loaded with icing ever. And my family went out to dinner like without me because I, was preparing for tonight. And they went to this like kind of high-end food court place that has a bunch of different all the different like eateries and bakeries and everything. And I was like, bring me back cookies. And they forgot to bring me back cookies. And then I just watched the video again. And I really want some freaking cookies without icing.
I'm a sucker for cookies. Um but I try to stay away from cookies after I went carnivore. So, all right. There is another video. One of our favorite assemblymen who still lives in his mom's basement. I don't know if he still does, but I like to pretend he still lives in his mom's basement because he's like 22 years old. Assemblyman Lee went on Ashley Zavala's show and had this to say, his idea of how he's going to combat ICE in his creative way.
To curb our corporate friends from not doing business with ICE. Very simply stated is this bill does one thing. It says that if you're a corporation with contracts with ICE, with the Department of Homeland Security, then you will not benefit from California tax breaks. This is a choice. Either a corporation can do business with the people of California and do all the amazing things that they're doing, or they can aid and abet ICE's reign of terror. They have a choice. And there are many companies ranging from armories, ammunition, Palantir, private detention facilities that are partnering and actually getting lots of profits from these ICE contracts. Of course, as you've seen, Congress had authorized lots of money towards ICE, and lots of companies are in line to try to suckle off of that and gain more profits from this. But we try to make it clear in California is that we don't want our companies, our corporations to be aiding and abetting. And if you do, then do it in your own dime. And hopefully this will force the choice that many of the employees of those companies and consumers of the companies will say, well, we don't really want to be affiliated with ICE, so it's better that we keep our tax breaks than keep our contract with ICE.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead. I got a lot to say, but go ahead.
Yeah, so when the statement right there, when he just said, go ahead, but do it on your own dime, is the most hypocritical statement coming from an assembly member who is quite literally talking about not wanting to give tax breaks and incentives to a corporation. So in other words, we want your dimes so that we can do stuff on your dimes, but you do this on your own dime. The government does nothing on their own dime because all their dimes are from us. And so I just I didn't catch that the first time I watched this video, and all of a sudden I got a little bit angry. Like, I'm not an angry person. I feel like I come here and I say, I think I just need a better vocabulary. So angry is just my best word to describe. But it's like a trigger word or something. I don't know. I just got triggered and I'm just like, shut up. And I just want to shake his shoulders. It's just one of those things where I want to be like, do you hear yourself? Do you know what you're saying? That's all.
No. Excellent point.
How much of this immigration situation, this confrontation with the federal government over what happened in Minneapolis, over what has happened in Los Angeles, how much of that is going to suck up the oxygen, do you think, from your perspective, when it comes to lawmaking and the use of taxpayer dollars at the Capitol?
I think it's going to be a matter of high importance, and it's going to take up a lot of attention in all the positive ways. I think last year in 2025, when we had no extent that ICE would be kidnapping babies and using them as bait or murdering people in the street. Of course, there's 9 people so far that we've known have been murdered by ICE already. Even back then in 2025, we were on the defensive. We created a legal defense fund for immigrants. We created a fund for our Department of Justice to sue the Trump administration, and they're on lawsuit 54 right now to make sure we have ways to defend our freedoms and also to claw back the money that we're owed. So we're on the defensive. In 2026, I think we're going to offense. You're going to see a lot more legislation aimed at curbing the behavior of ICE, holding the federal government accountable, and in my case, making sure that corporations aren't in bed with ICE.
Dear Alex Lee, please name one baby that was ripped off the streets by ICE.
We are ruled by children.
You said he's 22. Is he actually 22?
Yeah, and that's a comment on the fact that he's so young, and also the fact that he has no idea what the hell he's doing. First off, I want to go back to his whole idea of we're going to tax the corporation, or we're going to cut the tax breaks for corporate. That's not how it works. That's not how this works. You don't get to use taxes as a cudgel to punish people and tax breaks discriminatorily. You can't do that. That's not legal to all of a sudden cut out these tax breaks of who and who cannot do this. I'm sorry. And it's just Assemblyman Lee reminds me almost of an adult version of the kid who runs for school president. The kid who's oh, we're going to have free pizza every Friday, and we're going to get a half an hour more for recess because I think it's wonderful. It's all great, but it's not realistic. None of it's realistic. Everything he comes up with is not realistic. That proposal about corporations to me just comes off as such a sound clip that will never go anywhere. It'll die in committee because even most, probably the majority of experienced legislators will look at this and go, you can't get this through, and it'll get struck down in court immediately. But we're like run by children. It's so crazy that Sacramento, this is what they focus on, is these sort of issues that don't help the everyday Californian. And by everyday California, I mean the people who are here, who are working, who just want to get up, they want to provide for their family, they want to do all these things, and they're dealing with the high cost of electricity because you allow public monopolies to do whatever the heck they want, the high cost of gas, the high cost of everything
Wait,
under the sun, from
so
food, everything.
would an electricity company that provides electricity to a hotel where ICE stays at be exempt from tax incentives because they were technically supporting ICE teamed up
Yeah,
with?
I mean,
Like,
that's a
how
great
far does
point.
this
Like,
go?
if there's a ICE building that they use SDG&E, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, hold on, SDG&E works with ICE, so there goes their tax breaks, or PG&E, and PG&E dumps a ton of money into Democratic politicians, including Gavin Newsom. Are they going to have a little bit of an issue with losing tax breaks because they work with the federal government and they work with ICE? Like, these are
GM,
such
GMC,
half-baked
because
ideas.
they sell vehicles to these federal agencies. You know, they're souped up SUVs that are all like bulletproof or whatever. They tend to be Yukons or Chevrolet, Suburbans, Tahoes, stuff like that. Like, so how far does this go? The batteries that are in these cars, the company that sold the battery, are they now like Alex Lee? Shut up! I'm old enough to be his mom if he really is 22. Like, he's not much older than my son.
Yeah, these are half-baked ideas. Him and Scott Wiener are the two who come up with these, like, just for show virtue signaling laws that 9 times out of 10 thankfully don't go anywhere. Um, I mean, uh, Assemblyman Lee's also a big fan of like social housing, that ugly sort of like communist style housing where big gray buildings and everyone lives really affordably. He's a big fan of that. So whenever anything comes out of Assemblyman Lee's mouth, I'm just like, dude, how are you even in a position of power? How are you deciding laws for the rest of us when you have like a barely a freshman college education on the world? Like, you just don't understand economics. You don't understand the real world. I don't think he ever had a real job before he went to be an assemblyman. And I wanted to laugh at Assemblyman Lee, but this video makes me angry because it just shows you who we're kind of ruled over by. Like, I'm sorry to say, there's nothing better to say, but like idiots like Assemblyman Lee.
Right.
So, and I say idiot because it's an idiotic take.
Right.
And then the whole thing about, the inflammatory language of they're kidnapping babies. Like, where is that claim coming, that they're kidnapping babies and using them as bait for
Yeah, what?
what? Like, I bet, I wish you could grok people in real time when they're giving an interview, or like AI, like fact check someone in as they're talking. Like, there's a AI just fact checking them in the background. Um, Maybe that's not a great thing because then all of our, everyone
Right.
would
All
be
of our
being fact
thoughts are
checked.
like so just
All
like
of our thoughts
sometimes
would
like
be being watched. So,
we're live, this is unedited, and sometimes we might blur something out and it comes out totally wrong. Like, that's literally
and
not
then we'll be fact
how we
checked.
felt, and people are like, well, and they're like checking it where we're like, I didn't even mean that. Like,
Yeah.
I
Like, I think,
especially I say terrible things sometimes that literally, like, because I just twisted it came out of my mouth before it, was in my head. I have said some terrible things to my daughters by mistake. One really quick example, because I talk faster than I think, and I said to my daughter once, "Get a different face," and that's not what I meant at all. I never meant to tell my daughter to get a different face. It just came out when I was like, I don't even remember. She was making a face. It doesn't matter, but I said that. I did say that, and I 100% didn't mean that. There's that. Yeah.
Mhm. All right. The final story that I want to pull this up right now. It's
The
not a
final
video.
story
It
of
is a
ice, not of the evening. You threw
no,
me
no,
off
no. We
there
still
for a
got.
second. I was like, "What time is it? Was I
Oh, it's
sleeping?"
already. That's it. We've been on for 20 minutes. We're doing this whole new thing. We're only going to be on tour for 20 minutes at a time. Um, Instead of doing hour-long shows, we're just going to do a bunch of small 20-minute shows. All right. So this is California bill bans ICE agents from teaching policing job. AB 1627 will permanently ban former ICE agents from serving as police officers or teachers in California. The disqualification applies to anyone employed by ICE during the second Trump administration, specifically from September 2025 to January 2029. So basically, this whole term. What we know, Anna Marie Avila Frias, Democrat from Martinez, introduced Assembly Bill 1627 as the Misconduct Ends Law Enforcement Trust Act, melt ICE. Again, we are
What?
ruled by children. The fact that one of her aides probably sat down and said, "Ooh, if we name it this, we can call it the Melt Ice Act." Adorable. The bill will permanently disqualify anyone who worked for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) between September 1st, 2025 and January 20th, 2029 from holding jobs in California law enforcement or public education. The ban also extends beyond ICE to include former employees of the Alabama and Georgia Department of Corrections who served between 2020 and 2026. Don't know what that's all about. I'm still
This
scratching
is
my head why they threw.
California. Like,
California's just like, sure, let's just throw in Alabama and Georgia because
I need a minute to just like.
just
Okay.
process this.
I need a minute to defrost. Sorry, I'll see myself out.
Additionally, legal experts are questioning whether the state can legally enforce a lifetime ban on a specific class of former federal employees without violating federal labor protections or constitutional due process. Yeah. So that's the Melt Ice Act.
I think I told you both of these. Maybe it was something else. I don't know. These just feel like SNL skits.
Yeah.
Especially so this one is only like from this date, like from when Trump's presidency. Like it doesn't matter what ICE did under Biden if you worked for ICE under Biden and then you quit and you maybe became a gym teacher or something at a public school. They're like that's fine. You were under an okay administration, but if you worked for ICE under the Trump administration, then you're just not hireable. And the Alabama thing, I didn't even look up that. I don't know what's going on there. That's really, really random. And this is so dumb. Like you can hate ICE. You can disagree with ICE. You can want to abolish ICE. That's fine. You're free to totally hold those opinions. But I don't understand this attitude of like, if you do X, Y, and Z, we're going to punish you this way. And what if you did work for ICE under a former administration and then you were like, you know what, I saw some things and I completely disagree with what ICE did, and you quit and you just like maybe you went back to school because you actually wanted to become a teacher, in a public school setting. And you were like, ICE is disgusting and I hate this and I'm going to do something that really matters and I'm going to teach. And then they're like, oh, sorry. No. Obviously it doesn't apply to these people that were under the former administration, but what if it happened last year and they're just like, no, you're not allowed to change. You're not allowed to grow. And I'm not saying that people who worked for ICE need to change and grow. And I'm not saying they're not. What I am saying is that you're literally just like putting someone in this box forever. And you're holding someone to who they were in a past whatever. And you're just like, now, okay, I agree that there's like disgusting things like child molesters need to not be working in, like child molesters need to actually just go away forever. And I like stay out of society. But like working for ICE, you're working for the government, and then the government is like, no, you can't work for the California government. You can't work for this federal corporation because of our new bill, and or this federal agency, which public schools are, they receive federal funds. I don't get that. I don't get how they can
Mhm.
even say that. And I'm okay. First of all, this probably won't pass. Second of all, if it does, I'm sure it'll be challenged in court. Third of all, if it does pass and all that, Trump will be like, okay, fine, no federal funds for you. That's
Yeah,
what he
that's
does.
that's usually his response to a lot of stuff is, if you disagree with me on this, I'm going to pull federal funds. Someone in the chat had a better name for it. Why not call it the Heat Miser Act? For those who are fans of Rankin Bass Christmas specials, the old Heat Miser. Wish I had a clip of that to show everyone. But yeah, the Melt Ice Act. Legally, from my professional opinion, probably won't stand a snowball's chance in hell.
Well, we're just
So
on it with the puns.
we're on the puns of melting ice and snowballs and heat miser and stuff like that. So I don't think it's going to pass, or even if it does pass, it'll get challenged immediately because you can't discriminate based on certain job classification. I mean, could you imagine if like they were like, "Hey, if you were ever, like a school teacher, we don't want you to be, I don't know, anything. Like we don't want you to be a chef or a cook or something like that." Like you can't do that. You can't tell people what they can and cannot be. Um, so yeah, that's the Melt Ice Act. Now, before we did hop on, about a half an hour before, I got Camille all riled up because it's one of her favorite topics, about schools and public schools. If you didn't know this, they are organizing in schools to have all these walkouts and protests, and there were a bunch here in California. I want to pull up some of the stuff that we can see. Let me pull this up. I'm just going to
Defund
go to,
public education. I'm sorry, what?
which we do. We do have a shirt on our website, CaliforniaUnderground.live. You can go check it out. Defund public education. We're a fan of school choice over here. Camille's a fan of school choice and homeschooling. All right. I want to show some of these videos. So let's see. Pull this up. This is on X. So this was what it looked like when they let people out of Stockton. So all right. That looks like a very peaceful protest, doesn't it? Stockton, just for educational purposes, Stockton, I think, has a 24% reading proficiency, Stockton Public Unified. So good job, Stockton. I don't know if you should be more focused on protests and letting kids out to protest or teaching them how to read correctly. So Stockton, I don't know if you're in any place to be doing this. This was in Texas, so they let this out and then they started beating the crap out of a teacher.
Oh, God.
So things are going really well over there. This is example of more kids. These are high school kids in Los Angeles. Campbell Hall High students in Los Angeles walk out to protest ICE. This is from our friend Amy Reichart. So let's see, community update. I want to see what it says. Dear Castle Park High community, we'd like to inform you that some of our students are participating today in a student-led peaceful protest during the school day. Student participation is voluntary. School administration, campus supervision are actively monitoring the situation of taking appropriate measures to ensure student safety and maintain an orderly campus environment. Instruction is continuing as scheduled for students who remain in class. Now, if you're in school, do you think you're going to be the one narc who doesn't end up going here because there's so much peer pressure? I remember what it was like in high school. There's a lot of peer pressure to kind of follow the crowd and do what everyone else is doing. So I can't imagine there's going to be a lot of kids who stay behind, but kudos to the kids who do stay behind. And this is what they're engaging in. This is the peaceful protesting that these students are engaging in. So Huntington Beach, here we go. Parents take their kids out to school and line the streets to protest. That's the vaccine mandate. So yeah, that gives you an idea. This was a couple days ago. Catholic California high school students walked out of class to protest ICE, carrying F Trump and F ICE signs. Teachers are reportedly playing a resign at school Sacred Heart anthem. promoted the walkout. And more students. You start to get the idea. This is Brentwood, California, staged the walkout to protest ICE. More, and that's Stockton again. Santa Ana, high school students walk out demanding ICE out. Palm Desert High School. I mean, it's kind of crazy that there's so many schools organized this and did this. Where is this? Summit High School in Fontana, California. It just goes on and on and on. And this is really, I think that might be the perfect place to end. Teachers should teach, not push politics, which I wholeheartedly agree. I think there is no reason for these teachers to be pushing this on students. I think it should stay out of it. Um, uh, there's not much else you can say. It's frustrating because a lot of these schools in California, public schools, by no means are doing fantastic. I see last time I was like 49th, 45th or something in education in the entire country with the amount of money we spend on education. And we should be worried about actually teaching the children, not indoctrinating them with these ideologies and forcing them out into the street. Because a lot of these kids maybe didn't want to go, maybe just ended up going, maybe it was peer pressure, maybe they felt like they had to go, their teachers were in on it. I mean, imagine if a teacher is in support of this and uh you don't want to upset your teacher because you're worried they may look at you differently, so you go anyway. Like, there's a lot a high school kid is peer pressured into, and that's why I say they're forced to do this. There's probably a good amount of kids who are forced to do this and forced to accept this. And yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me see if I can find some more videos. I want to hear your thoughts while I look up some more videos.
These past 6 years have 100% shown us education is not about education, it's about indoctrination. If you don't get that, if you don't see that now, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm not saying that your child doesn't go to a good school or that they're not learning something, but 100% it has always been about, oh, education is so important. Education is so important. Like, we've all heard that all of our lives. Oh, education, education, education. And then this is like between the COVID lockdowns and keeping kids actually out of school, and then the ridiculous online learning that they went through, and the mandates of the COVID shots, and then all the just like separation and walk, one way down a grocery store aisle, and do your job, help others, get vaccinated, don't kill grandma. And now this, like, we need to walk out and protest ICE and hold these stupid signs and make a statement that F Trump and, like, screw our government, which, okay, I totally with the screw the government, but not on the same lines that they are not defending Trump. But it's 100% indoctrination. And I feel like I've been like, it's not up to me to choose what you do for your children. And I'm not saying this in any like superiority complex. It was just that there was so much of this that I saw the writing on the wall, which is why I chose to homeschool my kids from the beginning. My kids have never been in a regular school setting. I've graduated too. My third graduates this year. These are the things that I saw coming in a sense. And I was like, I will never put my kids through that. When my niece, who is a few years older, like she's in her 20s, she's a few years older than my kids. When she was in kindergarten, my sister had her in a local homeschool program. It was through this public school district, but it was like she was homeschooling her. And so she had a lot of control over what was being taught, but they asked the kindergartners, okay, like what, 5, 6-year-olds, to do like write a paragraph about, I think it was the year that I'm probably going to, Nancy Pelosi and then one other, Barbara Boxer, who were like both elected in California, and they were like, write a paragraph of why this is the year of the women. And I was like, oh, hell no, I'm never putting my kids in public school. Like, my son was like 2 at the time, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going there. I'm not, like, no. And I'm sorry, again, not a superiority thing here, but I'm so grateful that I had that kind of like foresight of, this is 100% indoctrination. And my family, being like my parents, my sisters, and a bunch of my nieces and nephews, we have this giant group text that they were all texting on just a few minutes before I hopped on here, none of them knowing that we were going to be discussing ICE tonight. And they were talking about what they're seeing at their schools. And my sister works at an elementary school, and she said she couldn't believe what the signs said, which she didn't say what they said, but she was like, no elementary school student has any business holding up a sign that said what it said. She's like, I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, tell me, I want to know. But she didn't, because there's like younger kids on the group text. She wasn't saying, I'll have to ask her later on our like adult group text. But it's, I think we talked about the teachers unions are totally behind this. That's a fact. Down with the teachers unions, defund the teachers unions, defund public education, school choice. It's just, I'm sorry, I'm totally ranting, and I don't mean to offend anybody whose kids are in public school. And I'm sure that many of you have amazing kids who have done amazing things in public school, and I just good on them, good for you. But as this, like, for me, I guess I feel like, oh, I'm so glad I got 2 kids out of this. And then my younger 2 are in high school, and it's like, I think they're going to be okay. But it's just going to get worse from here. And that's, I guess, the concern.
So I did find some parent reactions. So like I said, some parents are not happy about this. As I can see in the chat, people are also very not happy about this if this were their kids. Apologies if there is explicit language, but we're all adults here, so we can handle it. But here's this first guy.
School just brought him to a protest. So he's currently at a fucking protest. I'm fitting to go rage. Who the fuck said you could bring my child to a protest? Any of our kids to a protest. They see what's happening today. Bringing kids out there now. Purposely in schools. Washington State. Send this out. Washington State sending their kids to protest. I'll see you soon. Let me give you a little rundown on the way there. White Center, we call out here Rat City. If anybody from Washington State knows this Rat City is not an area you bring kids, let alone bring kids to a protest in this piece of shit city. If anybody knows White Center, you know Rat City is dangerous.
All right, so that's one. This guy also had
thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of these protests get out of hand. Not all of them, but we're like seeing, you know, it's you can't deny this. A lot of these protests are getting out of hand. People are getting shot, stabbed, killed, punched, beat up. You know, so can you imagine the lawsuits that these schools could have if they did, without the parents' permission, take some of these minors to a protest, and then if something gets out of hand and some of them get hurt, injured, killed, like that's just a dumb move on the school's part for that reason.
I did see videos of they were taking like little kids out, like little kids, like grade school kids out in San Francisco, and they were walking them down the street, and it was like 40 kids, 35, 40 kids, and only like 2 or 3 teachers walking them down the street.
Oh,
and
gosh.
that is not enough chaperones to be monitoring. Like, what happens if one little kid just wanders off and you don't notice it?
Well, it happens if Waymo crashes again. That's been going on. Like crashes into them.
Yeah. But I mean, that could happen, and then the school is going to be seeing a huge lawsuit, and all these public schools with our tax dollars will have to defend it. So this is another parent right here who obviously upset.
I just dropped my girls off at school. Let me tell you what the fuck they won't be doing today. A lunchtime rebellion. Half these kids don't even know what the fuck they're walking out for. Walkouts just don't happen. This shit gets encouraged. They get quietly greenlit by adults who should know better. And loop in the ones who just take their kids out to fucking protest. And you wonder why your fucking kid comes back with a fat ass knot on their head. It's because of your stupidity, goofy bitch. If this shit was about skipping school for literally anything else, consequences, rules, write-ups, detention, the whole fucking playbook, but slap a political label on it, and suddenly it's let the kids express themselves. Some of these fucking adults are the same ones who just swear they're just facilitators. Not if you're hurting kids into political theater.
Okay, but
shit.
Yeah.
why did he drop his kids off at school? He's like, I just dropped my kids off and this is what's happening. Okay, don't drop your kids off. Figure it out. I understand that maybe like you and your wife, or maybe you're a single dad or whatever, and you work and you're like, what am I going to do with my kids? But if you feel so passionately about this not being a safe environment or a good environment for your kids to be at, then don't drop them off. Like, now I'm kind of angry at this guy. Like, you see that there's a huge problem here, but instead of taking responsibility for it and saying, I'm not going to put my kids in school today because X, Y, and Z may likely happen right now. But okay, then, sir, you need to now take your kids out and figure it out.
Yeah, somebody just said I would take my kids out of any school for their safety and stop them from indoctrination. So I was in the chat right now.
Exactly.
It's okay if the kids, miss a day of school and they, you can fight that. But there was another video. So this was posted as a today. To your point, like, these kids are in danger. After being encouraged to protest ICE by facility teacher, student at Fremont High School runs in front of car during walkout and is struck and injured by SUV.
Oh, wait, for real?
Yeah, this is as of like yesterday, February 2nd. This
Oh,
happened.
that's so sad.
So this is what happens, and it's
That's really
because of
sad.
this is where the indoctrination and the teachers. And I say this because there's a good amount of teachers who are really, really good. There's a lot of teachers who really care about teaching, and I don't want to
Yeah.
indict all teachers.
Correct.
But there's a few bad apples in public school who ruin it for the rest of the public school educators because they feel like it's their job, that they're with your kids 6-7 hours a day or 8 hours a day, however long it is, that they have to teach you because they believe, well, we're teachers, we're molding young minds. I have to teach you the correct way to think, which is my way of thinking. And then these kids can't read or do math. It's gotten out of hand with how self-righteous and important some teachers have gotten, that they believe they have to do this, they have to make it a big thing, they have to be all proud. And I can guarantee you there's probably, if you looked hard enough, I'm sure there's plenty of social media posts of teachers who are proud of their students and taking pictures of their students and being like, look, I got all my students out to protest ICE and I'm such a white savior and stuff like that. It's mind-boggling that they don't think farther than, I just want to get these virtue signaling points. It's almost like Assemblyman Lee. Like, they think the virtue signal and then they don't think of the reality and the real world consequences after the virtue signal.
Right.
So, and unfortunately, this kid got hurt. They went out and there's not enough adults, there's not enough chaperones, there's not enough people to watch these kids and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and that they're safe. So then these kids get all ramped up, they get all hyped up, and then they're making dumb mistakes like they're getting hit by an SUV. So how's the school going to explain to those parents, oh, we let your kid out of school for a protest and then he got hit by an SUV? And what
I'm
if
just
he
really
has,
sad about that. That's heartbreaking.
I mean, if you get hit that hard by an SUV, you break your leg, maybe you have a life injury that you can't play sports anymore or something like that. Like, that's heartbreaking that you did that to that kid only because you want to feel good about yourself and virtue signal and be part of this woke crowd of, self-righteous people who think you're so amazing. Yeah, I think any parents who or any teachers who organize this and were part of this, I don't know. I know there's a shortage of teachers, but they should be fired if you're telling kids to go and protest and you're indoctrinating them with politics and putting them in danger. So it'd be the same if take politics out of it. Like that guy said, because you slapped politics on it, now it's okay to take your kids out and put them in danger and put them in these situations that could harm them. But once you say we're protesting ICE, then it's fine. Everything's okay. We look past all the safety concerns and stuff like that. So it's frustrating.
Thanks for getting me all riled up.
I knew I'd get you all riled up. I was watching this. It was on the news. I watched another great creator, Decoy Voice, was talking about this today. And I was like, oh, this is a good story for us to cover tonight. I don't know if you have any more thoughts about any of this, any of
I just want
the school
cookies.
stuff. Even I'll take an ice cookie at this
I'll
point just to feel better.
Yeah, I could just scrape off the frosting.
Someone said, hold on. Chat's going so wild. I'm trying to keep up with all your
Hi,
chats.
chat.
So like I said, we should be able to trust our institutions. Now we have to play defense against them, right? Let's see. Take the school's funding. They have to go. They make it in our area close to 200,000 a year. Put them out of work. So a lot of people upset in the chat. Let's see. Somebody said, my daughter teaches 4th grade in California. Has crazy students that speak zero English, that are violent and abusive to other students, 30 plus students in a class, including autistic, etc. See that? This is why we're fans of school choice. School choice will fix this, because a lot of studies have shown those who benefit the most from school choice, inner city minorities. Studies have been done over and over again that you get a lot of these kids who are in inner cities, you get them to get to better schools, changes their life. All right. Next story. This is a little bit of a lighter story. I know we got everyone all riled up. Everyone's blood pressure is going through the roof right now. Last story of the night. We have a new player in the game for a gubernatorial race, and you and I had kind of had our eye on him for a while. And I think you even showed me like an old text of like, hey, we should keep an eye on this guy. And this was like 3 or 4 months ago.
That was like almost a year ago. Thank you very much.
Was it almost a year ago that I was like, we should keep an eye on this guy?
It was March of 2025.
Wow.
I'm patting myself on the back for this one.
And I was like, we should keep an eye on this guy. I think he's going to run for governor. I think he's making.
No, I said what I did say is like, I think we need to keep an eye on the San Jose mayor. He's becoming more moderate, which likely means he's gearing up to run for a higher office. So I was, halfway there.
Halfway there. Yeah, something like that. All right. Well, you don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan, Democrat. So let's watch the story right now about that.
The growing crowd of people running for California governor now includes San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan. The Mayor Mahan made that announcement public this morning, just wrapping up the press conference, now answering questions. NBC Bay Area's Tom Jensen is there. And Tom, I know the mayor has chosen to make this announcement over at a low-income housing community. This is where he's held some events in the past, as well as with some of his now opponents.
That's right. Good morning. Yes, the mayor just made that announcement here at the Evans Lane Emergency Interim Housing Community, a project that the mayor has talked about a lot. Affordable housing has been a top priority for Mayor Mahan since he first took office in 2022 and then was reelected in 2024. A former teacher and the son of a teacher and mail carrier, he was introduced by a former student today. Mahan has positioned himself as someone who understands the struggles facing working families, and he says his wife helped bring him to this decision. He said he's brought down crime and homelessness since taking office, and says that she convinced him that he is perfectly positioned and qualified to lead the state.
And my wife, Sylvia, said something I almost couldn't believe. She looked at me and she said, I think our state needs you. And then she said something even harder to hear, that she was willing to sacrifice time with me and our family today for a better future for us all tomorrow. Because she believed I could help our kids, help San Jose, and help California.
The mayor hosted Democrat and Republican candidates for governor, including here on Evans Avenue at the housing community. Former Congressman Katie Porter has shown strong early polling in the race as a candidate. Other notable Democrats include Castro Valley Congressman Eric Swalwell and billionaire politician and entrepreneur and environmentalist Tom Steyer, among others, along with 3 Republicans. So we now have 9 names in for throwing their names in for the gubernatorial race, and we are still just a little more than 9 months away from the November 3rd general election. We're live in San Jose. Tom Jensen, NBC Bay Area News.
Okay. Let me pull this article up about Matt Mahan. So
I'm disappointed that that reporter mentioned the general, but not the primaries, because the primaries come first and are very important. Don't sleep on the primaries, guys.
yeah, we always say, like, people are like, why are we always stuck with bad choices? Well, because you didn't show up to the primary. And if you don't show up to the primary, they're gonna pick the candidates for you. So um I saw in the chat that there's a debate going on right now. The debates are really hard to watch. I tried to watch the one. Um, is it the one tonight? It's the
There
one that
was
we
the
were looking
Fox
at. It's
News
like,
one, but didn't that start at 5:30? Is that still going?
I think, yeah, that was too long. We'll probably clip and give our thoughts on
But
the debate. 2.5 hours is too long for us
but
to.
I want to hear I mean, we'll continue with the podcast, but if you guys want to put in comments if you're watching the debate, throw in any opinions in there because I'm
Yeah, let
curious.
us know. All right. He went on to say, I think the state's at an inflection point, Mahan said Wednesday while standing on the Embarcadero. As mayor of a big city, one of the largest cities in the state, I'm closer to the problems we face and the solutions to those problems. Past 3 years I've been mayor, I've become a model for how we start to move the needle on issues that many people thought were intractable. Um, as mayor, Mahan has pushed for stricter rules on unsheltered homelessness, is an advocate for interim shelter sites, and often rails against state regulations he says stymie housing production. He's considered an ally to business interests, and like San Francisco's mayor, has largely stayed out of national political conversations. He's instead argued that his energy should be spent on combating local issues. Wow.
Ooh,
What a novel
way to
idea.
get our
Just
attention.
wow, just talking about local stuff. Who would have thought if you just talk about local stuff, people will like that? His term in San Jose runs until 2028 after he handily won re-election in 2024. Now, this is really the interesting part why I thought he was gearing up for being governor. 2024, Mahan supported Prop 36, a successful ballot initiative that stiffened penalties for theft and drug crimes. The measure was opposed by Newsom, creating a lasting fissure between the two elected officials that for months had fueled rumors that Mahan was testing the waters for a run for governor. Was I one of those rumors? Who knows? Last year, Mahan's critiques of leadership in Sacramento intensified as he pushed back on Newsom's call for a special legislative session to fight Trump and called out the governor over his social media tactics, among other dust-ups. Mahan said he would like to make sure Prop 36 rules are implemented across the state, pointing to San Diego as a locality that successfully done so. So you have a Democratic candidate who has positioned himself as, I guess, a more moderate, business-friendly Democrat. Somebody actually just said, okay, I'm back. I couldn't stomach another minute of that debate.
Oh,
So Bianco didn't attend tonight's debate. Okay, so now we're getting people coming back. I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for coming back who checked over
yeah, I
there
didn't mean
and
to
came
send
back.
you all away. I just sorry,
Yeah,
Phil.
don't.
Sorry. I'm gonna get a
The thing
stern,
about
stern talking to after this. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna get started. Don't tell people to go away from the show and leave us.
I didn't. I meant it like those who watch the debate before the
Pro
show.
tip: this is why no one watches live TV anymore, because it's all just out later. Like, that's why I'm not worried about missing stuff. It'll be on YouTube tomorrow. I can just
See,
watch it and
so
take notes
the
tomorrow.
people that left, well, they'll just watch us or listen to us on Spotify tomorrow.
Right. But you don't get the ability to chat with us live
True.
because
We do
we're
love
looking
to
at the
chat.
chat and we're putting your chat on screen and we're interacting with you. If you're not here live, you don't get that benefit. So yeah, he positions himself more as a moderate Democrat, business friendly,
Yeah.
favor of Prop 36. That was the big thing. I think when he first came out and vehemently supported Prop 36 and was against Newsom being opposed to it, I was like, interesting. Why is he coming out and saying this? Maybe because it makes sense. Like, we actually need Prop 36, but also I think because he was testing the waters on what a more moderate, law and order, business friendly Democrat would look like in California. And also the fact that he pushed back on Prop 50. So he's in support of Prop 36 and he pushed back on Prop 50. He didn't like either of those things, and he doesn't like Newsom's shenanigans in his circus. So people, when I had posted this on social media, most of the comments I got from people were he's the most rational Democrat out of all of them. I was
Seems
like,
to be.
he seems to be the most Yeah, he seems to be the most rational, probably the most palpable, I think. He probably appeals to a lot of independents because he's sort of right down the middle. He's enough left leaning that a lot of independents who traditionally break more for Democrats here in California, he could kind of scoop them up. And the state is probably looking for someone who's a little bit more business friendly. So I think he sees that center lane. And also, the truth of it is, like, just the rest of the Democrats just are not that impressive. Like, they're just not that good. And I think he sat back and said, nobody's blowing anybody away. Like, the competition is just wide open right now. Um, Especially when you have people like Katie Porter, who sunk her whole campaign just based on this video, if everyone remembers this one.
State could lose. Get out of my fucking shot.
There's so many F words on this video.
We're gonna have to put a big explicit warning on this episode. I apologize if everyone, if you are sensitive to, if you're sensitive to bad language, people are probably like, "What happened to California?" So many F bombs. That's why I think. What are your thoughts on why you think he jumped into the race right now?
After Katie Porter totally with that came out, as well as that whole interview with the why do I need Trump supporters and all that, I think it was quite clear there wasn't a strong Democrat front runner. And then the polls, the polls just go back and forth, but it seems that with the majority of the polls that are not just Republican or right wing polls, Bianco and Hilton are always the top two. They kind of like keep like one's on top, the other second, like but it seems like they're always the top two. And the top two from the primaries go to the general. So I think Democrats probably were kind of scrambling, like, so who was it that dropped out of the race and gave his bear pin to Swalwell? And he was like not even polling in the race. And it was like, I didn't even remember. It was so like, oh, you're running?
Klubeck, who wanted to pay us to wear his merch and do a post on it. That's how he was getting more.
And
influence.
I don't hear Villaraigosa. Like, I know he's running, and I have my thoughts about that. Like, I mean, he can run, but after 4 months of communicating with his alleged comms director, you guys, oh my gosh, that a whole other episode could be created from that back and forth. I think his team is probably why he's not really like out there. He has a big name, but I don't see him doing anything. So anyway, all that to say, I don't think the Democrats had a strong front runner. And I don't know if anyone besides his wife actually asked him to step in, Mahan I'm talking about, or if, some Democrats were like, hey, you're in a pretty good position. Let's get you in. I don't know. I have no idea what really happened there. Doesn't matter. He, like we mentioned, seems to be more moderate. He does seem to get stuff done. I'm not saying he's going to be a great governor or anything like that, but I think he has a good chance of making it to the top two in the primary, making it to the general. And I had another thought. I'm losing my train of thought on what that was.
Well, let's look at right now while you're trying to remember your thought. This was from Real Clear Polling. 2026 California Governor Open Primary. So these are the standings as of right now. 15% to Bianco, 13% to Hilton. So people are making a lot of hay out of the fact that the top two are Republicans, followed by Swalwell, Porter, Steyer, Becerra. Mahan, I think, is too new to be included in any of this. So that gives you an idea. Porter's still hanging around there. Swalwell, the top Democrat as of right now. Becerra, who's polling at just 4.5%. Tom Steyer, I guess billions of dollars don't translate to support and fancy campaign ads. So that's the lay of the land as of right now. But I will say this, as exciting as it is as two top Democrat or two top Republicans, I will caution people that the reason that there probably are two top Republicans is because there's only two Republicans really in the race. Yeah, there's other like small name Republicans who aren't even worth mentioning. Um, we all know who they are. Maybe you and I know who they are, but other people don't know who they are or care. Um, so that's really, it's only two really legitimate Republicans, and the rest are all the Democrats. So they're probably splitting the vote right now. So that leaves the Republicans to suck up a lot of the votes. Keep in mind, the actual candidate, and I joke, it's not really a candidate. The one that's winning right now is none of the above with like 40% of the vote or polling support. So uh, if that shows you that people are just not really sure about what's going on now, that none of the above is going to move. It is still very early. We're still in the very early process of the gubernatorial race, but it does show that like people aren't really crazy about a lot of the choices. If none of the above is the one that's winning, probably not a good sign for the rest of the gubernatorial candidates. So Matt Mahan, I'll be interested to see where he comes in. I don't think he was part of tonight's debate. I imagine he'll probably be a part of future debates. Based on what people are saying in the chat, it's like maybe tonight's debate wasn't the best reason, or maybe this isn't one we need to clip and talk about because there's not a lot of people there. Bianco's not there. Swallow and Porter. Porter, I guess, didn't have her whiteboard in time or something.
See, that would have
So
made it totally interesting. Like if we actually had like those four, Hilton, Bianco, Porter, Swalwell, like I would have been like, oh yeah. I mean, I don't think it would have changed my opinion on any of them, but I would have been all into the and it like the mudslinging has kind of started. Like I saw a tweet by Steve Hilton of Sheriff Bianco took the knee for BLM and then lied about it. He shouldn't run this state kind of thing. And which
mhm.
that was my thought. Matt Mahan, while he was pro Prop 36 against Prop 50, there was a tweet that said that he came out and said that he thinks that Newsom has done an amazing job of running the state. So there is that. Like, okay, he might be more
Yeah.
moderate, but he still thinks that Newsom did a good job, and that's concerning.
Yeah, he's still towing the party line. So that is
Working
concerning.
for that
So
Newsom endorsement, I guess.
yeah, I don't even know how valuable a Newsom endorsement is if you're running as a Democrat at this point. I'd want a clean break. And if people are curious why the state of the race is like this, well, Gavin Newsom's termed out, so he's not running. So 8 years we haven't had a open race, and I guess even when Newsom ran in 2018, it was pretty much it was going to be Newsom. I think we all knew it was going to be Newsom. That like Villaraigosa was running again. He's like the perennial runner for everything. There were some other people running, but we all kind of knew it was going to be Newsom at the end of the day. So we haven't
Right.
had like a truly open primary with new people in almost a decade. And it was like Jerry Brown ran. Oh my gosh, Jerry Brown served 2 terms, and then my gosh, how far are we going back? Like Jerry Brown was basically the presumptive
Was he
nominee
right
for
after Schwarzenegger?
Jerry Brown was right after Schwarzenegger. So it was Schwarzenegger, Jerry Brown for 2 terms, and now Newsom for 2 terms. We haven't had a truly open debate for almost probably over 20 years. Like that's kind of crazy to think is like it's been 2 decades. We haven't had like a truly open gubernatorial. It's kind of been like the anointed royal families just kind of kept taking over outside of Schwarzenegger who got in there. Um, but it's interesting to see all these Democrats fight amongst each other. Eric Swalwell, I don't even know if he legally even lives here. I think there's a court filing. They're going to determine whether he can even run. Katie Porter, who we show that video, she's not very nice to her employees. I don't know if people are fine with supporting an abusive boss. Maybe they can come up with pins that say abusive bosses for Katie Porter or something like that.
Yeah.
Tom Steyer, a billionaire who
We
hates
should sell
billionaires.
those.
That would be funny. Yeah, we can be like abusive bosses for Porter 2026.
Don't steal our
Xavier Becerra,
ideas.
don't steal our ideas.
That's ours.
Copyrighted right now. Timestamp this. Becerra is in the middle of a campaign fund scandal with Newsom's former chief of staff. A lot of issues. I don't really want to go down the rabbit hole about Steve Hilton, the news that his name popped up in the Epstein files I don't even know like really what that's all about.
Yeah, I
So
think we need to like wait on the story to kind of unfold.
yeah, everyone's got their. The point I'm making is everyone's got their blemishes, which is probably why no one's running away with this. Like people have said in the chat, Bianco kneeled to BLM, whatever that story is, whether he was tricked into it or something like that. Everyone seems to be coming with their blemishes, and that's why no one's running away with it. Maybe that's why Matt Mahan jumped in, because he's like, all these candidates have big flaws that I can exploit. And everyone is jumping on Steve Hilton right now with the whole Epstein thing. Xavier Becerra jumped all over Steve Hilton about the Epstein stuff. But for those of you who don't know, the story is, as I understand it, Hilton was mentioned because somebody wanted to set up, or somebody, Epstein wanted to set up a meetup with David Cameron, who Hilton worked for. And that was basically it. Like Hilton didn't reach out to Epstein. It was like he was mentioned in these sort of stories. So, all right. Anything else on Matt Mahan before we finish up for the night? Let's see if there's any other
I
comments.
just thought it was funny that he was reading a speech, and I don't have a problem with him reading a speech, but he needed to read the story of his wife telling him he should run and why. Like I was like, you don't remember that story as it unfolded in your actual life? You need to read it. It's
Yeah.
like, and then my wife said to me, hold on, lost my place. She said, honey, I think, wait, what did you say to, no, that's not really how it went. You all watched it, but that's how it felt.
Mm-hmm. And we got our first negative comment of the night. Somebody said we're boring. Oh,
Yep.
I'm sorry, Stephen.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we're boring you. Well, the great thing about a free country is the great thing about a free country and YouTube is you don't have to be here. So, all right. Thank you everyone for tuning in for another episode. We'll be back live.
You too,
as
Steve.
always.
Thanks for tuning in.
Even you, Steve, who thought we were boring. Thank you for the view and the comment. You can get all the engagement helps. All of it helps in the algorithm. That's all I gotta say. So thanks, Steve. All right, we're gonna be back next week. We have a guest. We have a state senator coming up next week, right? Marie Alvarado
Yes.
Heel. Yes. She's coming on. So we have another guest. We're gonna have a ton of guests in 2026. I feel like we got a ton of people who are gonna come on. We are working on some big names. Not gonna say who, but we are working on some names. Emails have been put out, feelers have been put out. So we're working on it. So, but we don't want to put the cart before the horse. Cart before the horse. See, I can't even talk anymore. Maybe Steve's right. Maybe we're boring. Somebody said not boring for us. Oh, thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you to everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Make sure, as always, best thing you can do to support the show that is 100% free is you can share this with somebody else. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, review, all of that stuff. It helps with the algorithm, and we will see you on the next one. Hold on. I am trying to find where our outro is. Sorry. Now Steve's throwing me off. I'm sorry, Steve. I feel like I'm really letting Steve down. Sorry, Steve. Good night, everybody.